Hey, welcome everyone to Pro Mindset Podcast. This is your host, Craig Domann. Man, today we are going to it may start out a little fuzzy today, this show, but I've got a guest who's from Hawaii and his name is Kolaiah Jardine, and everybody calls him Fuzzy. He's done some time in federal prison. He has built up a multi-gazillionaire real estate practice. And so, Fuzzy, I want to welcome you to Pro Mindset.
Hey, Craig. Aloha. And, what are you doing today for your tomorrow, right? The things you're doing, you wake up, whatever you do with your time is where you're going to put yourself in. So think about that real quick. And, I appreciate that. Appreciate you having me on. Stoked to talk to you and your audience.
Okay. When you were in prison, did you ever think you would be where you're at today in terms of financial position, status, being on a podcast with some guy from Colorado to talk about mindset?
The journey, bro, has been awesome. The lessons I've learned throughout my time, but prison was my college, I would say, where I learned a lot of things from other people that were in there. Not the knuckleheads, but the other ones who were white-collar crime guys who had businesses, who were in the stock market, the commodities market. Spent a lot of time with those guys because I knew the life that I was in prior to was the life I didn't want to keep doing. So, no, to be honest, I knew that when I got out, I knew I wanted to go back into surfing because that was my passion to go back into professional surfing. Somehow, some way, I just started reading. Of course, the Bible was number one, but these books that were from like Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant, Within, or something like that. And one of the books that resonated with me was Robert Kiyosaki, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Of course, he's from Hawaii, but that book got me thinking of how you can use other people's money, other people's time, and become a business owner. So I was changing my mindset while I was in there. And the guys that I was hanging around with in there, they was looking to get out. And of course, the same thing. They didn't want to do the same thing. Like the guys that I was hanging around with were guys that made some bad trades on the stock market. This guy named Paul. And, he made a mistake and he had to do time for it. He paid his debts to society. And then he's home now, right? He's, I think, stages houses for a big company. And then I got involved with real estate, but I'm going off the Richter here. But no, to be honest, to answer your question, I never thought I was going to be able to be on podcasts or where I'm at today. But I knew I was going to do something with my life instead of just doing drugs and partying for the rest of my life.
Okay, so I'm going to fill the audience in just for a little bit. Just hit 49 yesterday. So you're officially pretty close to being old now. And you went to prison because of possession. And were you selling drugs too?
Yes, so I was a user. I was using crystal meth. And then also, if you're using, you sell too, right? So I ended up in the wrong circle. Well, wrong or right, either one. Got me, landed me in prison, 87 months for federal prison because of the people, the informant that I sold the drug to was in a ring of, someone that got caught. My partner turned me on to the person, sold the drug to him, sold a little packet, and then they wanted me to sell them more. So later on, a couple weeks later, met with the guy again, and then the feds was right there, DA, knocking on my window with guns in my face. You going down for a long time. So that was kind of, a blessing in disguise where I think that was God telling me, you better wake up, boy. Yeah, definitely from that day on, look at me, I'm on Pro Mindset podcast.
Yeah, man, you've hit the big time now. Kolaiah, when you make it to Pro Mindset, you are big time. No, all kidding aside here, my brain is going all over the place. It's like you're not the same person that you were when you got indicted and went to prison. Mm-hmm. You're not doing the same thing you did to get in prison. Certainly you can't do something different unless you think something different. So you had a transformation of your mind. After you hit rock bottom in prison, you transformed your mind. And it always starts with the Bible. It always starts with the Bible. For you, what did that look like?
I made it a goal to read the Bible from cover to cover, right? So I read the Bible while I was in there from cover to cover, and then chronologically, how the thing was written actually. And, I got closer to God. And Jesus, of course, I spent some time with this guy he was like, I think he was like 30 years already in prison from Colombia, Mr. Z. I remember Mr. Z. One of the mentors that, I stuck with at the last bit of my time. And he just taught me so much about, life and how, when I got out, how I needed to be and how I needed to treat people. I was the one who left God. My grandmother was a very religious person. My real name, Kolaiah, means voice of Jehovah or voice of God, right? It's a Bible name. So my grandmother was always preaching the good word about God and Jesus. And, I was the one who left. And when I went to prison, I got that bond back and strengthened my ties till this day. I still pray for the guidance and the strength to keep me going, because it's definitely hard. There's so much temptations out there. Today, I don't drink alcohol. I don't party. And it's the choices I make today where I got myself, right? I'm a successful businessman. I help my community. I build houses for local families right now for affordable prices. Honolulu is crazy. The prices is for a busted up house, $1 million and change. I'm selling brand new homes for $350 to $400K on the Big Island, where it's a lot cheaper, a little bit more rural, but I'm giving back to my community now. So, and all praise to, Jehovah God and Jesus Christ, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to, do what I do. And they're giving me a chance to breathe, because, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm living on borrowed time, but I appreciate every minute to be able to share my story, because I know there's other knuckleheads like me out there that needs to hear it.
Okay. When you found yourself in federal penitentiary and you're reading the Bible and you're trying to figure out who you are and what you're going to do next and how you got there, and you're having all these like thoughts and emotions like, hey, maybe I disappointed my dad or my grandparents or my, your family. What was the first thing you changed about you from reading the Bible, from finding mentors, from not being on drugs, being totally clean, being in a very disciplined, structured environment, when you're told when you can eat, where you're going to be, when you're going to be there, who you're going to be with, and you had to establish trust with your guards and with your prison so that you would get favors and benefits. Otherwise, you could spend a lot of time in your own room. So what was the first thing you had to change about you that started you on this journey to pivot from where you were?
Great question. The first thing I think was focusing on living in there, because when you're in there, your mind just starts turning about the outside, your family, like, I had to leave my girlfriend at the time, right? They seen me off and was crying and all that stuff. But then when I got in, it's like, okay, your mind starts thinking about, okay, what is she going to do? I had to let go of the outside and deal with living inside for the time that I was in there. So I started working out, and in there you can kind of eat healthy. There's a store that they had. So I had some funds that I was able to put into, they have like your bank where you can have family members put money on your books, and you can buy some food. So I started just eating correctly, walking and running every day, and then started in there, there's weights, right? So I started, getting healthy first, and then just started to get my mind right. And I knew for sure, Craig, that I didn't want to go hang around with those guys that were still selling, or when they get out, they're going to, be a bigger drug dealer when they get out, So I started finding other people that were in there that could teach me stuff, So, like I said earlier, and you said earlier, the Bible was one of my first places where I needed to get right or get back to in line. And the Bible is no better place to get yourself in a straight arrow and live a better life, because that's like a book that everybody needs to read, So that's kind of how I got back in line, was just, focusing on myself first, get my mind set for the time I was supposed to spend in there, and then start reading and educating myself.
Okay. So I can only imagine, when you have movement, when you have healthy movement, whether it's walking, running, working out in the weight room, whatever the case may be, your body wants good food and you sleep better. Everything starts getting regulated. And then it frees up your mind to start wanting to learn and wanting to be successful and to do good. And so that's probably contributed to you finding good people, because there's good people in prison too, right? Why don't you speak on that? Because most people think bad people are in prison, but there's also good people in prison.
It's crazy. People, we humans, right? We make mistakes, and the guys that still want to keep making mistakes, they're going to spend the rest of their life in prison. But there's a lot of people that made mistakes that they're out, or they get out one day. And I think they're in there. God puts them in there for a reason, to change their way of life, and so that when they get back home, they can be an asset to their family or their community. So the guys in there that I sat with, believe it or not, Martha Stewart's broker, right? Peter Bukanovich or something, was like he spent 6 months in there, and then had the big Samoan guy, protecting him, because it was funny to see. But he helped me and my family straighten out our taxes from in there. He knew exactly what to do. So I started thinking, like, wow, all these guys that, like, Martha Stewart's broker right there, to chat, like, you could spend time talking story with people in there that, they're millionaires, multi-millionaires, but they made a mistake. But then you could learn something from these people and better your life when you got out. So I spent hours. Like, in my closet, I have notebooks. I have a box full of notebooks of all the notes I wrote, so that when I got out, I was ready here, and then ready to, smash all the odds and be the underdog that made it.
Okay, so you said, these are your words, and I agree with you. God enables things to happen to people for a reason, and people that are in prison are there for a reason, and it's to change. It's either to get closer to Him, do better good in the world, maybe, effectuate the purpose that He put you on this planet for. What is the biggest change you've made on your family? Who's the one person that it was a blessing that you went to prison because it changed their life for the better, and why?
That one person was, of course, me. I needed that. I needed the wake-up call. I needed that spank in the ass, right? Because I was a knucklehead. I did not listen to my parents. I did not listen to authority. I could barely keep a job, right? I get a job. I don't want to listen to the people. I even joined the military. I joined the Army Reserves. I couldn't even stand the people that was in there. So I think I needed it to wake myself up. I got into drugs and alcohol early on in my life. I went to rehab a couple times because of the choices I made. Until I got arrested, I was still running amok, going crazy. I didn't want to work. I just wanted to party and surf all over. And I think I was that one person that needed to be there. I'm a good person. I just made bad choices. I come from a good family, like huge ohana, a big, huge ohana that we always got together. We would always, every, holiday season, my grandfather would always put at least 20 or 30 pigs in the emo or underground oven. We all would help each other cook the Kolaiah pig, and then everybody would go home with a bunch of Ziploc bags full of food. And it was time for us to get together. And that was one thing that I always remember from my grandfather and my grandparents. Yes, all of my family were bummed that I went away, but I think it was a time for them to realize that I needed that. Right? I needed that. I needed to be in solitary. Like, there's people there. I wasn't in solitary confinement, but I was someplace where I wasn't in control, and I had things every morning. You wake up at a time where you got to stand up for the count. You got, time for go eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, time to do certain things. So I was on a schedule, not on my own terms, but it helped. I think prison helped me. And it was a change for me that I needed to become I would say, curse breaker for my family. The curse breaker meaning living paycheck to paycheck, meaning, making excuses, blaming other people, and becoming a successful person for my ohana to leave generational wealth for them. So I think that's
awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Okay, so you're the co-founder of HUI Mastermind that empowers Native Hawaiians to build generational wealth through real estate. How do you do that? Give us some of the structure. What did you learn, maybe in prison or maybe after you got out, once you jumped into it, that you need to do to create that generational wealth?
I learned from in prison first. It started my mind, right, with the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But there was a guy named Joel, and Joel taught Real Estate 101. And Joe taught me about house hacking. And he taught me about when you purchase a home, you fix it up, you live in it for 2 years, and then you can flip the home. And if you're single, if you make 250K profit, you don't have to pay taxes on that. Or if you're married, 500K profit, you don't have to pay taxes on that. And I was like, oh my gosh. So every 2 years, I can go buy a house, fix it up, live in it for 2 years, flip it, and not pay taxes. And I was like intrigued in that. Funny thing is, when I came home, when you have an X on your back, it's hard to get a job, right?
No,
Like, what?
imagine.
You got to. And the first thing, when I was in there and I was getting prepared to come out, like, I did pre-interviews of, okay, talking to you just like this to get a job. Prep all the questions that, an employer would ask me. So I was ready. And the first thing I would tell them, like, hey, look, I have a record. I went to jail for selling drugs. I just want to be upfront and honest with you. But I feel like, so I went to all these car dealerships in Hawaii because I knew I could sell, and every single car dealership slammed the door in my face. And it was hard, but it was a blessing that somebody gave me an opportunity as a window cleaner to be able to work for them. And then I started teaching surfing lessons and then also a valet driver. But I was looking for education to do real estate. And I was starting to look at using my VA loan to buy my own place. So I got in touch with realtors. We would go to the houses, or in fact was condos or apartments, because that's all I could afford, like, in the 100 or 200 back then. And I think it was like 2009 was when I started looking, and it just never happened. So around 2012 or 13, I heard this radio station, a commercial, and it was Stan Murrell. I don't know if you know Stan Murrell. He used to play football, and I'm not sure if he played for the Cowboys, or I forget who he played for, but he has a program called the Fortune Builders. Him, JD, Arjun, a bunch of his team came to Hawaii with their coaching program, and it was a free event. They said, we're coming to your backyard. We're looking for team members to be part of our team. We go out there, we find houses in Hawaii, we fix them up, and we flip them, and we use other people's money. I was like, what? That's me. In my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know that's me, because I was already ready. I had 3 jobs, no time to do what I wanted to do, working for other people's dreams, but not mine. So this was my opportunity. I snatched it, went. What the guy said was insane. I was like, oh my gosh, this is me. They said, let's go to a 3-day event. We'll tell you more in detail, right? 3-day event. We'll break down step by step on how you do this business. It was $197. I still got my tickets, bro. Went there. It was a surfer guy just like me on the stage, telling his why millionaires get to surf wherever he wanted to in the world. And I'm like, bro, that's me. I need to be on that stage. I need to be the local or Hawaiian, the Kanaka, Maoli on that stage, just like that guy, because my story, if I can do what he's doing, more locals would be like, wow, if Fuzzy can do it, I can too. So I started my journey in 2013 as in this real estate business. How I got involved with it, I had to pay $27,000. Did I have the money? No, but I had the 3 jobs. I was able to get I had credit. I had to borrow the money from a loan called the Malama loan for Hawaiians for education. So I took that $20K plus a $6,000 credit card, slapped it down. And bro, the strategies that these coaches taught me and the mindset shift, the change that they got me, where I don't need to use my own money. And that's where a lot of us go wrong. We listen to the curse. Oh, you can't do that in Hawaii. All of our families. Oh, you can't do that. You gotta go work to make it, right? Not thinking outside the box or outside the bucket. And I got in these rooms of people who are multimillionaires who use strategies on how to find these properties at discounted prices, fix them up, hire local contractors, and then they either keep them, put locals in homes, or they flip it and they sell these homes at affordable prices. And well, Honolulu, no, I mean, Honolulu is crazy expensive. Honolulu, Maui, Kauai is just, it's not affordable no more, but you can obtain home ownership if you start a business and stack your money and do the same thing that I did to be able to, I live on Oahu, but it starts here, right? It started here with changing my mindset and putting myself in, a coaching program. So we started the Hui Mastermind because of that. I met up with Zasha Smith, my business partner. She lives on Maui, super successful, single mom. Then, now she's married to her husband who is a plumber on Maui. But we created the Hui Mastermind because there was no local company out there of abundance mindset to teach other locals how we got successful. So it's a real estate coaching program that we created by locals for locals. Sorry, guys, that's not from Hawaii. We teach mainly locals because we just see a lot of there's 15,000 locals being moved away from Hawaii every year. So it's painful to see that. We teach everything about what we do and how we find properties under market or off market. We help you find the funding, right? By talking to everyday people for private money lender. So you don't have to have good credit. And then also, how to manage contractors, the whole 9 yards, bro. It's amazing where I'm at today and in front of you telling this story because, like you said earlier, would you have thought you'd be on a podcast talking about your story? No, never did. But I really appreciate guys like yourself to be able to let other people tell their story and be an inspiration to others that think they cannot, but they can.
Well, you're definitely an inspiration because you're one of those guys that shifted. You transformed. You're making a difference in your community. You're making a difference in your legacy and your family too.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that are in prison, but they're in their own prisons. They're not in the federal prison, and they're locked into a certain mindset that keeps them living paycheck to paycheck. And that's that's a lot of people, unfortunately. And it's like they can't figure out how to make that jump. And I think one of the things that happened to you, and I'm just making an observation from listening to you, is that once you hit rock bottom, I don't know if rock bottom was, getting arrested, or when rock bottom was when you got sober and you're in prison and you realized you're going to be here for 7 years or whatever it's going to be. You had nothing to lose. So what did you do? You became like this magnet for education and information, and you wanted to know what the secret sauce was, what the code was to create wealth so that you wouldn't have to sell drugs, because one of the reasons why you sold drugs was to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody that does something that's against the law to make money, they do it because it looks easy, and it's usually, pretty fruitful, and it's pretty quick money. It just happens to be illegal. And there are, the one thing I know about real estate is it's not quick. It takes time. But the compounding effect of multiple properties, it looks like, you could look back in 10 years and go, man, I did that quick. But day to day, it wasn't quick, right? Share with our audience one real estate thing that you teach in your coaching program that maybe has to do with mindset that people don't realize.
Yeah. So one of the first things that we teach is basically you got to sit down with your other half, if you have one, and write down your why or your dreams or your goals in life. Like literally spend, time, like what you want for your ohana or family, right? It starts right there. It's the why and the goal and your dreams has to be so burning, fire hot red that you're not going to let nobody stop you from obtaining it. Once you hone in on your why, you can move forward from there. And then the strategies is just basically it's almost like music theory, real estate. You can go to any state, and what Zasha and I do is the same thing. So there's all kinds of coaching programs all over you can sign up with. It doesn't matter. You just got to align with people who you know, like, and trust, right? And who you want to be like. And that's who I started hanging around with. So in the Hui Mastermind, we tried to teach people, and the mindset is super important. And who you hang around is who you become. You hang around with 5 drug dealers, you can become the 6th. You hang around with 5 people that do real estate and are successful, you're going to be the 6th. So it doesn't matter what profession you want to be in, but you got to hone in on why is people that play NFL or sports or the top guys, why are they so good? Because they practice and they hang around with people who are good at it. Some people are, gifted, but in order to get to the top or where you want to go, you need to hang around with people who who are doing it. So, I mean, that's what we teach. We teach the mind shit. I would call it the mind shit. Change your mind shit. Excuse my language, but our mind is our worst enemy, or can be, because we start doubting ourselves. We start talking down to ourselves. The first thing is like, it's $1 million, in Hawaii, it's $1 million to buy anything, right? A home. So our mind is like, bro, I can't afford $1 million. How am I going to get the money? I make minimum wage, right? Minimum wage is like 15 bucks now. When I got out of prison, minimum wage was $9. That's what I was getting paid, $9 an hour. Worked my way up to 15 as a manager. But yeah, Craig, it starts with the mind. And then we help guide them. Okay, once you get that goals down, okay, we work on a plan, okay, on their next steps. And then, of course, we tell them to look at your financials, what's coming in and what's going out and what's left after that. And then the education part, educating yourself is super important, because that'll get you farther. The more educated you are on things, then nobody can fool you. And that's where we, one thing we do is try to get people out of that mind shift of, I don't know, I think they took languages out of our school, right? The Hawaiian language. When my grandparents was going to school, they took that out. So it was rigged for us to fail. School, public schools rigged for us to fail. I mean, they don't teach financial education in school. You get financial education from home, or the people you grew up with, or people you come across, or someone you reach out to. Yeah.
You got to go somewhere to get it.
Yes.
So here's what's funny. Most parents drop their kids off at school, and unfortunately, they don't learn a lot. And then when they're done with that school, they got to find their own school, depending on what they want to do. Now, if they want to be a doctor, it's a little bit different, because you go pre-med and then you go to med school and things of that nature. And then you wake up one day and you're a doctor and you're licensed and you can make money. But for most people, you go to school and you don't learn what's going to help you be successful when you're done with school. So here's something that I heard you say. In your coaching program, you talk about pausing. Like, let's take an inventory where we're at, and let's look at where you want to go. And let's identify the gap between where you're at and where you want to go. And then if you don't know why you want to do it, you're not going to get there. But if you're really plugged into why you want to do what you want to do, no matter what you want to do and how big the gap is, you can get there because of your why and because of your dream. The problem with society is we don't have time to take a break, push the pause button. When you went to prison, you had no choice. All you had was time. So you got a huge dose of figuring out what your why is. And how do you impart to people that are too busy? They work in 3 jobs like you were. You're doing all these things. How can you convince them that taking a break is the best thing to get the biggest movement?
Yeah. So, bro, believe it or not, just recently I started using Google Calendar, right? All of my schedules, the podcast, the things that we're doing was on there. A lot of us make excuses. It's a cop-out. We blame because we got to go work. Even like people that want to lose weight, how much excuses they make to not go to the gym to lose the weight. So the excuses, I'm broke, I live paycheck to paycheck, I can never make it. It's here. You're doing it to yourself. But when we help people, like we tell them, like all it takes is, not 7 years. It takes just, maybe 30 minutes a day to sit down. Okay. Why am I reaching out or watching certain things to better my life? Okay, well, write down, like, shoot, I want to go travel with my family, spend more time with my family, because like Zasha always say, she was working 80 or 100 hours a week, and they were getting, that the bosses were getting the best of her and their family was getting the rest of her. And when she got home, she was always, sleeping on the couch. Same thing with me. Like I had 3 jobs too. I was like, bro, this is crazy. I was making good, okay money. Wasn't, enough to really survive here in Hawaii or to buy my own place. I was looking to have more for my ohana. And like earlier I said, break the curse, and real estate was it. But I had to, same thing. The coaches from Than Murrow and their team right there at the event had me and my wife now write down our whys, our goals right there. So I sat down, just like how we do with our students, like just get it down, like, and then we go from there. Just take 5
Has your why changed since you started?
Yes.
Because we do evolve. So what was your why and what is your why now?
Your why will always change because you accomplish things. Life happens. Not all students like stick around because life happens. And then like real estate is a hard game. It's not an easy game. But my mission turned from when I first started to building wealth for my ohana, generational wealth. Once I obtained it, I met Zasha and the team, and my mission started to realize that I can't keep all this information to myself. And I just started realizing, I don't know if God was talking to me or what, but I think maybe my grandparents was the mana'o is knowledge. You cannot not pass that knowledge down to the next person before you leave.
Spell
Because
that.
then it's Manao.
Manaho. Okay. That means
Manao is knowledge, right? And the things that you know in your what you grew up. And it's our kuleana, Kulena, to teach the next generation, to show them how to be good stewards, how to live pono. Pono means righteous, how to give back, how to spread the aloha spirit, how to give your shirt off your back for the person that is in need. So my mission now is to teach, people that's ready or feel that they're ready to do the same thing and step up to be a leader, because I'm not going to be around here for forever. I'm 49.
we already talked about, man, you're over the hill, brother.
Yeah, I'm right there. You'll be like looking over, oh crap.
All right, Fuzzy, let me ask you this question. Prison for you was a gift. It wasn't a gift when you went to prison. Probably wasn't a gift when you were in prison, but the impact that it made on your life was a gift. What is the gift that you try to give in your HUI mastermind to your students and to your people? Because you don't want to send them to prison. They don't want to go to prison.
No, don't follow that.
What is the gift that you're giving them that maybe doesn't taste good, it's not easy? Because prison, obviously, I've never been there, but it's like, can't be easy, can't be fun. There's a lot of things about that, people will be like, nah, pass on that. Okay, you go for me and tell me what it's like, okay? But how can you replicate that experience and that gift to your people?
Yeah, it just boils down to, for me, like my story, just everybody in Hawaii knows that one drug addict or alcoholic in the family. I was one of them, right? Like, or, cousin or uncle, like that's always in and out of jail. Like watching me, like you can learn a lot of lessons in life and not do like the bad stuff that I did or the stuff that I was going down the wrong path. My story is just like resonates with a lot of our students, and a lot of them, come on board because they see themselves in me. They see me in themselves, and then like they think, Fuzzy, like I said earlier, if Fuzzy can do it, I can too. So I'm always there. We have weekly calls every Thursday. We they kind of have us in our back pocket. We have a web community, like a website that they can go to. They can ask questions. They can, shoot, some of them just pop up to my house and we chat it up, like I want to see people succeed. So, it's my gift is like I said earlier, I give my shirt off my back. Zasha is more on the stricter thing. She wants more people to be, she's like the coach, like the real, or drill sergeant. I'm more of the person on the ground. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I was brought up, I get into trouble sometimes because I say yes all the time. And I just want to see people succeed. So anytime people come up to me as a student and they ask me any questions, I spend the time, even though I'm taking away my precious time from my ohana and stuff. But I feel like it's my mission now to help more people. And the thing is, like, our program, yes, it's only for Hawaii people, but there's, options for other people that want to invest in projects here in Hawaii. They can, but man, there's programs out there everywhere. Like there's, Than Merle Dam, there's Pace Morby, who's doing 100 cities. He's going to every city, 50 or 100 cities and helping people find deals, on the spot right there.
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer
You can answer my question.
You give people hope.
Thank you.
You set an example. Your story from rags to riches, from prison to success, forces people to go, I got no excuse. Because we all compare. So when people compare to you and they go, I got it hard, I got it tough, my life sucks. And then they go, well, Fuzzy was behind bars for 87 months. Most of the time, their suck isn't as bad as yours was. And so you're giving people hope.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yep. Well, Fuzzy, I want to thank you for being on Pro Mindset today. I really do. I appreciate your story. I love the idea that someone can go to prison for doing something stupid. We all do stupid stuff, but what you did put you behind bars, and you can change. You can recover. You can be better than you ever were before, and you are. And now you're a leader. Now you're a role model. Now you're an example. And that is a beautiful thing.
It is. Mahalo, man. Mahalo.
So if somebody wants to find you, man, where can they find you?
On Instagram is pretty much the easiest way. It's HIFUZZ. That's my handle. And then fuzzyjardine.com. I have a website, show what I'm doing. I have an Instagram channel alongside with Zasha called Investing in Hawaii. And, if you see me, message me. I message back and see how I can help you in your journey, wherever you're at.
Well, everybody go out and have a great day today. Fuzzy is an example and an inspiration for whatever's holding you back, whatever prison you created. We have a tendency sometimes to put up bars around ourselves, to create our own prisons that hold us back, to take those bars down so we can be our best version of ourselves, so we can be successful and we can make an impact on our communities. Thank you, sir.
Mahalo.
Hey, it's Craig Domann, the host of Pro Mindset Podcast. I want to thank you for listening or watching today's show. And you can catch us every week on the normal social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the listening podcast platforms. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And more importantly, I hope you gained a pro mindset insight. Please be sure to rate and review Pro Mindset Podcast. And I look forward to catching up with you on our next show.